This is John Black, Super Chemist. I think it's part 9 of what the deep state is. And I think there's only going to be a couple more videos here, and then I'm going to move on to other stuff. And then I'll get back on this, and it's going to be called a series of videos called what the deep state plan is. You know, so far I've told you the fiat money, the Federal Reserve Bank, the World Bank, and these videos are called the deep state. They're all the same, they're all related, so you need to watch all of them if you really want to know what the deep state is, because if you watch all of them, you'll know what they've done in the past, what they're doing now, and then in my next videos I'll be talking about what their plan is in the future. Okay, because they want to get us all, put an RFID chip inside a subdermal implant, so that they can put everything on there, all the money, you know what I mean? And then if you protest or you talk bad about them, they'll just turn off your chip. Then how are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to get a place to live, a job? How would you get food? How would you get a cab or the bus? You can't do anything without your chip. But anyways, in the last video, we're starting to finally get to the answer. Who is the deep state? You know what I mean? What are they? And we discovered that they are basically just the lower royals from the UK, right? You got the upper royals, king, queen, and their kids. And you got the lower royals, the middle royals. They got a bunch of power too, not as much as the king. Then you got your lower royals. They're all rich, but the lower royals really don't have any power. You know, in a monarchy, you can't move up, right? It's not based on merit. It's based on entitlement. You know what I mean? You're born into your position. So they can't move up into be the king. They can't move up into power. They're just, they're just rich royals, but they're not really getting any royal privilege. They moved to the United States before it was the United States, when it was the Americas, right? Samuel Hinckley was one of the main people that I'm talking about, because all of his descendants have been all of our presidents. Okay, so basically the lower royals moved to the Americas, started having power, making up. They got the money, so they're the ones making the businesses, right? They're the ones who are getting elected into positions of government. You know what I mean? So they're going to run everything, and they're way away from the higher royals, right? Because this is back before planes and stuff. It took a long time to get over here, from the UK. So they just tricked everybody, man. They got a lot of power. They got their tentacles in all the businesses, got their tentacles in all the government. Then they tricked everyone into the United States, because they were like, now we can make our own monarchy. We won't be lower monarchies anymore. We want to be top monarchies. The only way we can do that is to get rid of the real top royals in UK. So they tricked everyone to get into a revolutionary war, not to get rid of the monarchy, right, and help the citizens. No, it was to get rid of the monarchy so that they can set up their own monarchy. Okay? Yeah, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and James Madison, they were all related, and they were all royals. They're all related to Queen Elizabeth II. They're all related to King Edward I from 1300s. They're all related. They're the royals. Yeah. Then when they set up the government, George Washington became president. His relative became vice president. His Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, another relative. His advisor in the cabinet and in Congress, another relative. Who was it? It went down somewhere here. Madison was the cabinet. Was a cabinet advisor and congressman. Then they just moved them around. They're all related though. Obviously, Washington was out because he was president, so that was the end, right? But what happens? Adams used to be vice president. Now he's president. Jefferson used to be Secretary of State. Now he's vice president. They just move everyone around, right? Then who's president next? Oh, Jefferson used to be Secretary of State. Then he became vice president. Now he's president. And because Adams and Washington is already president, they're moved out. They got to move more relatives in. So under Jefferson, you got Madison, Secretary of State, Monroe, Secretary of State, right? All related. Okay. Well, Monroe isn't related, but he's a puppet. He's like a Biden, or you know what I mean, or Clinton. But anyways, then what? Who becomes president? Oh, Madison becomes. He shifts over to presidency. He used to be the cabinet advisor, he used to be Congress, then he's the Secretary of State, now he's president. It's the same 4 people. And I only investigated these 4 or 5 people. Just think, they have more relatives that would have been in there, right? It wouldn't just be these 4, right? There are other relatives that are going to be taken. If these 4 are just moving around like that, obviously there's more than 4. Then Madison becomes president. Even though he was, and Monroe, who used to be Secretary of State, stays Secretary of State and becomes Secretary of War. They just move around, it's the same people. You got 20 family members that were lower royals who started our government. And it's been that way. And all the presidents since have been related to George Washington and all these 4 people I just mentioned. That's the deep state, okay? And obviously they have puppets, you know what I mean? That aren't part, you know, they do what the deep state tell, like Bill Clinton. He might not be part of the deep state, but he's a puppet, that's for sure. Same with Biden. So the question remains, is there a king or a queen that's actually running the United States? I don't know. I am 70% sure that we have an actual king, an actual dude that has an actual crown and an actual throne in his mansion, right? And he sits on his throne and he knows that he's the king. I'm 70% sure that that's what's really happening. But who knows? Like I said, from here on, this is all. Everything before was fact. Now these are just my. I don't know, but it seems like if everything else was true that I said, right? Why wouldn't there be a king? These people have a hard-on for their genealogy, obviously. They've kept it in the family, you know, royal family, the entire history of our country, man. Why wouldn't there be some dude that's in charge that's a king? Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change, you know, the exact hierarchy of the deep state is irrelevant, okay? It's there and it's happening and it's whatever, okay? But these are just my thoughts. There probably is a king, an actual king running our, you know what I mean? I don't think that like George Washington and all these presidents, George Bush, I don't think they're the top, you know, the king and queens. I don't think we'll ever know who the king and queens actually were in our whole history. Because they set it up, they knew, you know, they could see all these kings and queens are getting their heads chopped off and put on a pike, right? Because people are tired of kings and queens. So they want to be hidden. That's why it's a monarchy deep state is what we're living in that pretends to be a democracy. Okay? So you have the top... And I'm wondering, is this happening in other countries? Did other first world countries... Because it only makes logic that it had to have happened, maybe not every time, but at least a good percentage of the time, right? Because when you get rid of your king and queens, you kill off the upper royals, right? Chop off their heads and put them in pikes. The middle royals that have power, you try to find them, try to kill them, right? Some of them escape. But the lower royals, they never really had any power. They're just rich. And they're, you know, they got the bloodline. So they usually survive, right? And what? They survive, and then they were brought up royal their entire lives, and they're just like, nah, we don't want any power anymore. We're just commoners. No, they didn't say we're just commoners. They said we are elite, our royals. We're from this bloodline. We're better than everybody. And they had the money, right? So when they set up their democracy in these first world countries, like France or whatever, wouldn't it be logical reasoning to think that the rich people, who would be the lower royals, right? Wouldn't it be logical to think that they would put people into power, try to get into the government, try to have businesses that were, you know what I mean? To be the ones that have the oil businesses, to be the ones that have the businesses that make munitions for war, and you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be, you know, they would be in charge, you know, they're... So did this happen? And now you got these royal families from each country, you know what I mean, that were used to be lower royals, but now they're the upper royals because they're the only ones left. But all they did was create a deep state so no one knows that they exist. Did that happen in in how many countries did that happen in? That just makes me curious. You know, even if it only happened in 3 or 4 other countries, I guarantee it happened more than the United States. At least one other country, at least the UK or France, or at least one country this happened to, where all the lower royals just infiltrated the government and created a new democracy and said, look, we're doing this for the citizens. We're creating this new democracy. Yes, we are related to the people that you all just killed and you chopped their heads off and put them on pikes. But we're different. We're for the citizens. Yeah, we were brainwashed by our parents saying we're royals and we're better than you and you're dirt compared to me and you're not even a human. No, we're different than them. Yeah. And we gobbled it up. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's let the royals. Yeah, because their parents never taught. Their parents always taught them about equality. That's what the parents told. Yeah, that's what the royal parents told. Yeah, that's what they did. That's how they taught their kids. That all makes sense. That checks out. But what is the deep state? There's a deep state within a deep state. Okay, there's hierarchy within the deep state. All right, obviously, the top deep state that runs it, that would be like your king and queen. These people were probably, I'm just guessing, but these people were probably full-blooded royals. Okay, they probably had a hard-on with their, you know. When I say full-blood, no one can be full-blood anything. Okay. But I'm saying they're the most purest blood of all the royals. You know what I mean? They have not, which means they're inbred, basically. But that's who's been running our country for the last 250 years. Yeah, it's a bunch of inbred, entitled dictators. Yeah, that's who's been running our country. Then you wonder, why are we doing all this crazy stuff? Yeah, because they're all inbred. They have no morals, none. They make the devil look like a good guy. Like if you see the devil and you see the deep state, run to the devil and say, please protect me. Please protect me, because the devil is a good guy compared to the deep state. No one is more evil than the deep state. Nobody. No one or no thing. So you have the top. They know everything. And then, of course, you have royals below that, you know, they don't have as much power, but they have a lot of power. They know a lot of the plan or some of the plan, but not all of the plan. Right? Then you got your lower level royals, right? Those are the people like Bush, Obama, you know what I mean? Ford, Roosevelt, anyone that works for the Federal Reserve Bank, World Bank, CIA director, FBI director, DOJ, you know, those people, all those high up people, you know, and they can be lower level royals, or they can just be puppets. You know what I mean? Like Bush would be a low level royal, Cheney, low level royals. But what is Biden or Clinton? They're just puppets. Okay, they're not royalty, but they're part of the deep state because they're puppets. You know, all the WEF, the NGOs, UN, United Nations, the EU, you know, the European Union, they're all deep state, all of them. The music industry, art, they're all TV, news, TV shows, movies, propaganda, Hollywood. That's all the deep state. Okay? They just have tentacles, right? And these tentacles go out, right? One goes to the Hollywood, right? All right, well, we ran out of time there.